Well, just it's a slap in the face to country music, because it's a stereotype about country music that everybody who's involved in it believes in the Confederate flag, believes in oppressing people, and believes in the idea that comparing the president to Adolf Hitler is somehow a good thing.
You don't know what you're talking about.
There's actually a large African-American population in the South, too, Paul. You might want to think about them as you talk about the South.
No kidding.
The problem with the song if the South would have won, is that there's not a single mention of black people anywhere in the entire song when you listen to it. It is a Southern utopia, and you would have no idea black people ever existed in that song. So I don't find that statement necessarily to be ridiculous that he made. He is absolutely a representative of the brand in this example, and he has attached himself very publicly to some politics that a lot of people find offensive and that a lot of people find to be extreme. And just because a lot of people in Alabama might be on the same side of those politics does not mean that they are any less extreme or offensive to some people. And when you call the president of the United States, quote, the enemy, and that is a part that Hank Williams Jr. never fell back from, then we do have a problem.
Paul Finebaum, the 70-year-old ESPN commentator, is back in the news.
First of all, my parents are from New York. I happen to be Jewish. I lost relatives in the Holocaust, so I don't need Dave Zirin or Bomani Jones lecturing me on my background or my culture. I live in the South, and I'm proud of it. And I happen to go to a concert a couple of weeks ago that raised $3 million for people in this state who lost everything in a tornado. And Darius Rucker was there. He happens to be an African-American. You know that, Bomani. And I'm just sick and tired of people from elsewhere, whether they're in Charlotte or anywhere else, making fun of people down here. These are good people. They're not racist. They're not bigots. They just happen to like country music.
Excuse me. Paul, you are not any more Southern than me. I was born in Atlanta. I grew up in Texas. I don't feel the need to prove that. I haven't made any jokes about anybody from Alabama. My mother has lived in Alabama for the last 15 years.
You're the one who just talked about black people down here, not me.
No, I'm talking about that song, which doesn't have a single mention of any black people in it, and is cast as a utopia, which is part of this neo-Confederate thing that Hank Williams has had going for a while. The problem with neo-Confederacy is that so much of it popped up right around segregation, as you had a resistance toward that. But nobody is insulting the people in Alabama. I'm talking specifically about Hank Williams Jr., and please do not misrepresent me as saying anything bad about my mother's friends.
A man who defends bigots out in the open like Hank Williams Jr. and desecrates folks like Dave Zirin and Bomani Jones.
Paul, that's an outrageous statement. I mean, if you want to talk about my relatives that died in the Holocaust or my time in the South, we could do that. That's not germane to this discussion at all. And frankly, it's cheap and unprofessional to bring that into this discussion, especially trying to hear you talk about Darius Rucker. I mean, that's nothing to do with this.
You're lecturing me on what's unprofessional, Dave?
Let me finish.
Give me a break,
Paul,
okay, buddy?
Yeah, I am. Paul, seriously, why don't you do a Google search of Hank Williams Jr. Confederacy and see what comes up? It is a cottage industry of Hank Williams Jr. and the Stars and Bars.
Dave, I don't need to do a Google search. I can call him up on the phone, and I know what he stands for. He's a country music entertainer. You get that? Entertainer?
For us to limit this and say, hey, well, Hank Williams Jr., he's just an entertainer, then why was he speaking in a context that is not? No, he was not speaking as an entertainer. He wasn't on country music television. He wasn't on MTV. He was on Fox News.
What's wrong with stating your political opinion?
Well, Paul, that's my question to you.
Just so you two guys don't agree with it, and then you start hiding behind all these elitist attitudes, which people from the South are sick of, okay?
Paul, let me jump in with a question for you.
I'm as Southern as you are.
Ridiculous.
Apologies, he doesn't defend Williams, rather he befriends him. So why is he trending?
Tommy Tuberville is running for governor, a former Auburn coach who beat Alabama 6 times in a row, and I think it's fair to say he's going to win pretty comfortably, seems to be the assessment. There's an open Senate seat. Bruce Pearl, also at Auburn, had talked about it. He says now he's not going to run. Is that with the conversation? Are you somewhat interested and intrigued at the opportunity of looking into that Senate race? I'm assuming that's what they reached out to you to talk to you about.
Yes, I was very cautious. I didn't take it too seriously. And then ultimately, I ended up talking to someone who made it clear that there was a desire for me to be involved. It is very intriguing. I am thinking about it constantly. And that's difficult to do, Clay, as you're talking about college football.
Yeah.
20 hours a week, debating Stephen A. Smith, as you well know. It's been going on for a couple of days, or if not weeks, and it's just hard to chisel it down to make an educated decision. But to say I'm considering it, of course, yeah.
Finebaum claims he was approached to run for a senator's seat in the state of Alabama, mainly because this guy...
I've known Paul a long time, and Paul is just a commentator that created a division between fans on both sides of whatever teams he wanted to talk about that day on the radio or TV, and he had a dialogue. I'm going to tell you, Paul's smart. He loves the country. Again, been a friend of mine for a long time. I have not talked with him about it. I did an interview with him about 30 minutes about 2 months ago, face to face, and it went well. But I tell you, he's got a 100% name ID in Alabama, and he'd have a lot of big people behind him. He would be a force in the race if he decided to get into it. But again, I'm for people that comes up here that don't want to be in politics. They want to come up and help.
Tommy Tuberville is about to run for the governor's office of Alabama. Now, Finebaum is a registered Republican, and he said he voted for Donald Trump. He told The Athletic in July that he has views on both sides that represent him. Quote, "I really feel like I'm a fairly middle-of-the-road person. Moderate is not a popular word anymore." Be careful, by the way, with this and what he's trying to do. Finebaum also would say Charlie Kirk's death is influencing his decision. He told Clay Travis of Outkick, which, by the way, Clavis is funny, though. Clay Travis sold to Fox and Rupert Murdoch, that he struggled to do his show after hearing about Kirk's death, saying he spent 4 hours numb talking about things that didn't matter to me. It's hard to describe not being involved in politics, how that affected me and affected tens of millions of people all over this country, and it was an awakening, he said. Overall, I think what we are seeing is the fact that in the South, football plays. Herschel Walker could not win, but Alabama is a deeply red state. Obviously, way more red than Georgia, let's say. Do I think Paul Finebaum could win against a Democrat? I personally think an old rusty football that played for Bear Bryant would beat a Democrat. The only person that would lose to a Democrat in that state is Roy Moore. And considering how far we have gone back and regressed as a society, Roy Moore could potentially win today. So if he wants an easy win, with the RNC basically saying, hey man, easy path, take it, take the money that we're going to give you, it'll dwarf your ESPN salary. The infusion of money in politics, Paul Finebaum will be worth, considering it's a Republican from Alabama, $20 million, $50. So easy. The deck is stacked so heavily against anyone who is not a MAGA conservative in that state. There were rumors that former Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl, who, by the way, hates nepotism when it comes to LeBron James, but suddenly he retires and his son takes over, who has no coaching experience whatsoever. Go figure. There were rumors that he was going to be in the running for that Senate seat because Tommy Tuberville is running, as we stated, for the governorship of the state of Alabama. Pearl is an advisor now with Auburn. He claims that he is not running. Personally, just for the fireworks, would love to see Paul Finebaum and Bruce Pearl go at it, but at this point, they will probably work in tandem, would be my guess. Lastly, I just, again, have to call out the hypocrisy of Republicans saying that they don't want sports and politics mixing when you have a literal sports commentator now potentially getting into the world of politics and running for a seat. Make it make sense. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYT Sports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.